For the last decade, we've been told that the future of human mobility and the survival of our climate depend on a single, silvery white metal, lithium. We called it white gold. We built an entire global infrastructure around it. But as we stand here in early 2026, the cracks in the lithium monopoly are no longer just visible. They are structural. While the United States and Europe were busy trying to secure lithium mines in the Andes and Australia, a quiet revolution was happening in the background. It's a revolution built not on rare minerals, but on one of the most abundant substances on Earth, sodium. Common salt. As of today, sodium-ion technology has moved from a laboratory curiosity to a geopolitical weapon. But here is the startling reality. China currently controls roughly 96% of the world's sodium-ion manufacturing capacity. While Western startups are folding and subsidies are being clawed back, the East is scaling up at a rate we haven't seen since the first industrial revolution. Today, we're going to look at this sodium versus lithium war. We'll explore why sodium is technically superior in ways you wouldn't expect, how a single piece of American legislation in 2025 might have accidentally handed the crown to China, and why India, not the West, might be the only real challenger left on the board. To understand why this matters, we have to look at the atoms. In a lithium-ion battery, lithium ions move between the anode and the cathode. Lithium is light and energetic, which is why your phone and your Tesla use it. But lithium is also rare. Sodium is 500 times more abundant in the Earth's crust. You can get it from soda ash or even sea salt. But it's not just about being cheap. Sodium batteries have three superpowers that lithium simply cannot match. First, safety. Lithium batteries are chemically volatile. They must be transported with a charge, which creates a fire risk. Sodium batteries can be discharged to 0 volts, becoming essentially inert bricks for shipping, and then brought back to life without any damage to the chemistry. Second, the Himalayan factor. Lithium batteries hate the cold. A standard lithium battery can lose 20% to 40% of its range. A sodium battery? It retains over 90% of its capacity in those same freezing conditions. Third, speed. While a mass-market lithium iron phosphate, or LFP battery, takes about 30 minutes to charge from 10% to 80%, a sodium cell can do it in 15 minutes. So why aren't we all using them? It comes down to energy density. Sodium ions are physically larger and heavier than lithium ions. As of late 2025, commercial sodium cells are hitting 140 to 160 watt-hours per kilogram. That's about 20% to 30% less than the best lithium cells. For a long-range luxury EV, that's a deal-breaker. But for city cars, scooters, and the massive batteries that back up our power grids, sodium is the clear winner on paper. If sodium is so great, why is the West falling behind? The answer is a concept called state-led venture capital. In the West, if you have a battery startup, you go to Silicon Valley. You get a few $1 million, and you have about 3 years to prove you're the next big thing. If lithium prices drop, which they did in late 2024 and 2025, investors get scared and pull their funding. China doesn't play that game. Under their 14th five-year plan, the Chinese government identified sodium-ion as a strategic hedge. They didn't just fund research, they built an entire ecosystem. Companies like CATL, Hina, and Ferasis aren't just making cells. They are part of a national strategy to ensure that even if lithium prices spike to a ton again, China's energy transition doesn't blink. And it's working. By the end of 2025, China is projected to have 123 gigawatt-hours of sodium-ion capacity online. To put that in perspective, the rest of the world combined has less than 5 gigawatt-hours. Chinese local governments provide what they call full life cycle service. If you're a battery maker in a province like Gansu, the government might give you the factory for free, expedite your permits in weeks rather than years, and subsidize your equipment depreciation. In the West, we call this market distortion. In China, they call it winning. Now, let's talk about the West response. For a moment, it looked like the US was catching up. The Inflation Reduction Act, or IRA, of 2022 pumped billions into domestic manufacturing. But 2025 brought a massive political and policy shift. On July 4, 2025, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, or OBBBA, was signed into law. It fundamentally changed the rules of the game. It sunsetted the 30D Clean Vehicle Tax Credit, that incentive, as of September 30th, 2025. Suddenly, the demand for EVs in the U.S. felt a chill. But the real killer was the Foreign Entity of Concern, or FEOC rules. The OBBBA mandates that for a battery to get subsidies, it cannot use materials or material assistance from prohibited entities, essentially China. This created a catch-22. China currently processes 90% of the world's battery-grade graphite and nearly 100% of the hard carbon needed for sodium-ion anodes. If a U.S. company uses Chinese tech to scale up, they lose their tax credits. If they don't use Chinese tech, they can't scale up because the domestic supply chain doesn't exist yet. We saw the result of this valley of death in real time. In September 2025, the industry was rocked by the closure of Natron Energy. Natron was the poster child for American sodium-ion technology. They had a factory in Michigan, a UL-listed product, and $100 million in booked orders. But they couldn't close their funding round. Investors saw the policy uncertainty of the OBBBA and the low price of Chinese LFP batteries and walked away. And then there is the talent drought. Between 2018 and 2024, the number of engineering graduates in North America and Australia dropped by 63%. We simply don't have enough chemical and process engineers to run these gigafactories, leading to scrap rates in the West as high as 40%, compared to under 10% in China. While the US and China are locked in a trade war, a new player has entered the arena, India. India's strategy is fascinating because they've decided to bypass the lithium war entirely. They have almost no domestic lithium, but they are a global powerhouse in soda ash, the precursor for sodium. The centerpiece of this effort is the Dhirubhai Ambani Green Energy Gigacomplex in Jamnagar, owned by Reliance Industries. After acquiring the UK startup Faradion in 2022, Reliance is building a 40 gigawatt-hours sodium-ion gigafactory set to begin operations in 2026. Reliance isn't trying to build long-range luxury cars. They are targeting the heart of the Indian economy, electric two-wheelers and affordable city cars. They estimate that by switching from lithium to sodium, they can cut the cost of a scooter battery pack from to just. That's a 38% reduction in cost for a country of 1.4 billion people. By 2030, Reliance plans to scale this to 100 gigawatt-hours. India isn't just trying to participate in the battery race. They're trying to provide the blueprint for the entire developing world. So, where does this leave us at the start of 2026? The West is currently caught between two rocks. One is the regulatory pressure to be green and independent, and the other is the economic reality that China has already won the first 3 rounds of the manufacturing fight. European regulations, like the battery passport coming in 2027, are designed to enforce high standards, but they also add massive costs to small innovators who are already struggling to survive. Meanwhile, the US is discovering that you cannot legislate a supply chain into existence overnight, especially when your engineering talent is disappearing. But the salt revolution isn't over. Sodium-ion is still the most viable path to a world where energy storage is cheap, safe, and truly global. Whether the West can bridge its valley of death, or whether we will simply trade a dependence on Chinese lithium for a dependence on Chinese sodium, is the defining question of the next 5 years. The race isn't just about who has the better battery. It's about who has the better industrial ecosystem. And right now, the salt is flowing east. Thanks again for watching. Like and subscribe if you find the video useful. I will see you next time.